Premier League predictions are here. And like normal, classic me, I'm going to bring up this beautiful table graphic and I'm going to be predicting every single one of these games. Literally every single one, like usual. Can you see those two games? Those by far have to be the biggest games if we pushed out of the way. Those games are Bournemouth versus Liverpool and the Gunners versus Manchester City. Those two games are amazing games to predict. Honestly, it took me forever to predict these games. It's so hard. But anyway, if we just push those games out of the way, I'm going to also giving you my goal of Game Week 23. And not just that, I'm obviously going to go through my Game Week 23 predictions to see how well I actually did and to see how many points I actually got. Smoke it up. Oh, right, yes. To the video. Starting off at the City Ground, it's Nottingham Forest versus Brighton and Hove Albion. And Nottingham Forest and Brighton both come into this game with a loss. Nottingham Forest got battered against Bournemouth 5-0. One of the only times I don't go for a Nottingham Forest loss and they get absolutely battered. To be fair, we do praise Murillo a lot, but I think in that game he could have done a bit better for Nottingham Forest and the defence as a whole was pretty poor. So I could definitely see Brighton getting themselves something in this game. I know Brighton did lose against Everton, but I felt like they were a bit unlucky. I feel like Brighton have always been like that throughout the season. It's happened a lot. They create abundance of chances. They have loads of talent at the club. But the problem that always happens is they're really, really good. They play really well in a lot of their games. It feels like they should get a win, but they don't. Because it felt like they should have at least got a point against Everton. And you may disagree, but I personally think if you compare Nottingham Forest and Brighton, their squads as a whole, in my opinion, I would say they're quite equal. And considering the last 2 weeks in the Premier League, home advantage has pretty much been pointless after there's been loads of away wins, and also Brighton at home have not been good this season, proven by another Everton loss at home. Considering they're better away, I think they can get a point. I don't think they're going to get all 3 points because you have to admit, Bournemouth also battered Newcastle. So I don't think it's a massive blip up by Nottingham Forest. But still, it's pretty poor. I feel like this one's going to be a draw. Can't really split the sides. I'm going 1-1 between Nottingham Forest and Brighton. It's going to be a seriously close matchup. Moving over to the 3 PM kickoffs, it's at St James's Park. It's Newcastle United versus the Cottagers. And Newcastle. I thought when Newcastle faced Bournemouth and Newcastle got battered, I thought it was a one-off. And I'm still backing that up. It was probably a one-off because Bournemouth have gone on to batter Nottingham Forest. So what I'm assuming is Bournemouth is suddenly this god-tier legendary side that no one can beat. That's why Newcastle lost to them, because of how good Bournemouth are. Jacob Murphy is assisting, and Isak is scoring. Isak is just monstrous. The best striker in the Premier League at the moment. And now Newcastle are facing a Fulham side which lost to Manchester United. But I do have to admit, Fulham probably deserved 3 points after I thought they were pretty unlucky versus Man United. And this isn't the first time Fulham have had a similar performance and similar result simultaneously. Because I feel like this season, Fulham probably deserved more points than they actually currently have. They've drew quite a few times in recent time when you could say some of those draws could have easily been wins, and they probably deserved it because they had a really good performance. And this loss against Man United, they probably deserved even more points. Considering this pattern is constantly going with Fulham, and considering Newcastle, in my opinion, are still on great form, yeah, at St James's Park, I think Newcastle can definitely get a win. Could be a bit of biasness, but I'm going 2-1 to Newcastle United. Come on, Newcastle. We've got this one in the bag, although it's going to be an extremely close game. Over to Goodison Park, Everton versus Leicester City. Leicester, you've beaten Tottenham. Everyone can beat Tottenham. That is crazy. But Leicester, you're facing Everton, which have had a manager bounce in David Moyes. Again, I think he's very similar in terms of the way he plays as Sean Dyche, as it was very disciplined defensive performance against Brighton. And they've won back-to-back, I think for one of the first times this season. And Leicester, you might be able to score 2 past spuds, but Everton's defence is much better than Tottenham's defence at the moment. And considering they've been really disciplined and they've won the last couple of games, Everton, I think they're going to win against Leicester. Honestly, going to Goodison Park is going to be very hard, Leicester. And it's not going to be as easy to break down Everton as it was against Spuds. Manager bounce is going to continue, and Everton are going to win this 2-0 at Goodison Park. Leicester, you did win, but Everton's defence is a different kettle of fish. Moving over to Portman Road, Ipswich Town versus Southampton. A relegation battle scrap. Although you say that, Southampton, they're down, aren't they? I'm pretty sure they've got less points than Derby County did at this point in the season. And Derby County got 11 points. I think they will break the record for the lowest points in the Premier League. I'm calling it now. That's my prediction. I'm sorry if you're a Southampton fan, but you do look promising at times this season, and it looks like you're going to get back on form. And I saw a few promising signs against Newcastle. I saw some promising signs near the end against Nottingham Forest. But you just lose. You just lose, as simple as that. You're not good enough. And facing Ipswich, you could say, is a much easier team, and it is a much easier team than Newcastle. But Ipswich have been playing the best of the best in the Premier League. They've played Man City and then played Liverpool. No wonder they got battered. And if we get rid of those two games that Ipswich have played in recent time, I feel like throughout the season, I feel like they look Premier League worthy. And evidently they're trying to do something in the transfer window to make it happen. Because they've signed like 3 players. They signed Ben Godfrey in the defence. They've signed Jaden Philligan. And recently they've signed Enciso, which I think is a really good signing. I remember him at Brighton. And the things I remember that he'd done at Brighton, I thought were really good. And I just think they are a better side on paper than Southampton. I feel like they've shown the most Premier League quality kind of link-up football out of any of the 3 promoted sides. And I think they're the best out of all the 3 promoted sides. I know Leicester are now outside the relegation zone, but I still feel like, from what I've watched, they look better. Excluding the last 2 games, of course. They're going to win this, Ipswich. Surely they're going to win it. 3-2 to Ipswich Town. I'm going close. I'm going that they're going to concede a lot because the Ipswich have conceded a lot in the last 2 games. 10 to be precise. Going to the Vitality Stadium, it's AFC Bournemouth versus Liverpool. What a crazy game this one is. Who's going to win? I mean, if Bournemouth batter Liverpool, that's it. You might as well give Bournemouth the Premier League title. Honestly, if they batter Liverpool, you never know. Bournemouth could. I don't think they're going to batter Liverpool. There's no way they batter Liverpool. For probability's sake, they can't. Surely not. But fair play to Bournemouth. Fair play to Justin Kluivert. Another great performance. And they don't need strikers, Bournemouth, because they've got quality attackers, not necessarily number 9 strikers. They've got the likes of Dango Ouattara, and can I say, how he leaped up to the ball for that header was beautiful. They don't need all the players that are injured because they're just battering teams. And they're definitely going to give a fight. I feel like they're going to be 1-0 up at half-time. Liverpool are brilliant and all, and just won at 4-1 against Ipswich. They're doing amazing in the Champions League. But it will most probably be 1-0 to Bournemouth at half-time. But in Liverpool fashion, the second half, they always score more than they do in the first half. They always end off the game better than they start. And Liverpool will go on and still win it. And you might be thinking, Bournemouth at the Vitality Stadium. I'm pretty sure home advantage this year is less impactful than previous years. So 3-1 Liverpool in my opinion, come the final whistle. But trust me, it will be a close game. But in Liverpool fashion, the second half, they will win it, and they'll win this 3-1. Quickly going to stop you there. It will be much appreciated if you can click that little like button. You don't have to, but honestly, it helps me out a lot. And if you do, my predictions might improve. Moving to the West Midlands derby at the Molineux Stadium, Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Aston Villa. Obviously, Wolves are now in the relegation zone after losing to the Gunners. Obviously, controversial red card. I don't agree with Skelly getting sent off for the Gunners. I think that was the wrong decision. But Wolves still managed to keep it quite a close game in that game, and they did try and hold off for the majority of it. I felt like the team that won it in the end deserved to win it. But again, Wolves, you're facing the Gunners. It's a hard game, so it's understandable that you lost. Obviously, you have no Joe Gomez, and in my opinion, he's been one of the better players for Wolves. He's been brilliant. And facing Aston Villa, It's going to be a tough game. Although, when I watched the Aston Villa versus West Ham game, I thought it deserved to be a draw. And I don't think Aston Villa played amazing. I still feel like they had some good attacking scenarios at times, but I don't think they played particularly well. And in the Champions League, they also lost it, and I don't think they played well there. And against the Gunners, I felt like the Gunners were the better side, and at least for the first 60 minutes, I don't think Aston Villa played well. But they are getting points over the line, and I think they will get a point in this game. But Wolves, I still feel like in a lot of games this year as a whole, there's been many games where I think about it thinking they should have got a point there. They should have scored there. They should have scored there. They're not performing terribly, and their squad looks too good to go down. And they deserve more points, and I feel like they will get a point in this game. But I see Wolves nicking one here. I really do. I think I'll be a bit more confident if Gomez was in the team, because I really do rate him, but they've still got a good side. 1-1 come the final whistle between Wolves and Aston Villa. Honestly, it was not a convincing performance for me when Aston Villa faced West Ham. Old Trafford next, it's Manchester United versus Crystal Palace. At the time of recording, Manchester United have not made a signing. There's only a few days left, so it's going to be interesting to see what signings they make, but they did just win against the Cottagers 1-0. And honestly, you could disagree with me if you're a Man United fan, but what I've seen of that game, I don't think you deserved to win it. And it still did not look convincing. I remember saying the same thing about Man United almost every week last year, that they constantly got unconvincing wins. And well, it feels like it's returning. And last time these two teams faced, I remember watching it. It was a 0-0 performance between them. And in the first half, Man United were the only team to pretty much shoot. And I was surprised they weren't 1-0 up. And in this game, I think it's going to be another low-scoring game. In my opinion, I felt like Crystal Palace probably deserved a draw against Brentford at the end of it. I thought they were a bit unlucky to say it was a loss. A draw was probably more deserved. But they're going to be wanting to bounce back. And before that Brentford game, they were doing pretty well. But I can't go for Man United to lose, because that win must give them a bit of confidence. Ruben Amorim being honest to the fan base, saying the things he does, implying that Man United are not in a good state, that they're in a bad situation, must fire the team up. And that win must fire the team up. And before that game, before the Brighton game, they had a run of 3 games between Liverpool, Southampton and Arsenal where they played pretty well. And with that win, with a clean sheet, against a really good Fulham side, it's going to give them a bit of confidence, I think, to get a point in this game. Not all 3 points, because I still feel like Crystal Palace is a good side, and Man United, to be honest. You're getting better, I think, but you're still not at a great level. So I think I'm going to have to go down the middle for those reasonings. 1-1 between Man United and Crystal Palace. A mid-table clash, and it's going to be a tough one to call. Very close game. Moving on to a London derby at the G-Tech Community Stadium. Brentford versus Tottenham Hotspur. Now Tottenham, Ange Postecoglou is yet to be sacked. And I'm assuming the reasons for that is the injuries, because their injury list is huge. Like, really massive. I think they have like 12 injuries, which is bonkers. And I'm assuming Ange Postecoglou is probably still there because they're still doing well in Europe. And they're still doing well in the Carabao Cup. They beat Liverpool. But they lost to 19th place Leicester. I mean, shambolic defending again by Tottenham. I don't feel like Tottenham are losing. Just because I can't see them losing. I just can't. Not again. Surely not again. And also, I'm getting my sources from a website called EPL Injury. And they say 5 players for Tottenham could be returning. Which is massive for Tottenham. And they are due at least a point. Honestly, I think there's going to be a seriously end-to-end game. Brentford are going to get 2 goals. Tottenham going to get 2 goals. I see a Desmond. Brentford did well to get 3 points against Crystal Palace, so I can't go for them to lose. I'm going down the middle 2-2. I just can't see Tottenham losing again. Now, another one of these biggest games of the week, surely, is at the Emirates. It's the Gunners versus Manchester City. Last time out, this was 2-2, and I remember it well. Arsenal parked the bus, you could say, with 10 players, and they defended with 10 men beautifully, and I've never seen anything like it till maybe the Newcastle game when they faced Arsenal and did the same thing that Arsenal did against Man City last time out. And honestly, Man City did pretty well. Now, I'm known for my mispronunciations, but at least for this video, I am most probably going to get this player wrong. Kusavanov. Yeah, I butchered that name. I don't care. I will learn it after I finish this video. But he made some terrible errors. Honestly, it is his debut, and as Pep Guardiola did say, he's young, he's going to learn from his mistakes. Obviously he is. Obviously it was a complete capitulation at the start by the defence and poor passes, but other than that, they kicked on. They kicked right on. Marmoush coming into the club. What a great signing. He looked exciting at times. I don't think he had a good performance. I think he looked good at times, but I don't think he had an amazing performance. But he looks promising. Another flary, good attacker for Man City. Man City looking good. Deserved the 3 points. 3-1 deservedly. Butchered Chelsea's defence through the tick-attacker, great passing football that Man City are. And they just forgot what happened in the PSG game when they lost at 4-2 in the Champions League. So it's going to be a really hard game to predict. Honestly, we look at Arsenal. I think they're playing really well. But again, everyone knows it. It's boring at this point. They need to sign a striker. They are yet to sign anyone at the time of recording. Obviously, Champions League football is happening, and both Man City and Arsenal are playing in the Champions League, so they're both going to be equally as tired. And considering Arsenal just can't score, and they defend pretty well, and I believe Martin Odegaard is going to return for this game, and Marino, and Tomiyasu. I believe all three of those are going to return, so I feel like they're going to be able to get a clean sheet. I know Man City look fluid on the attack, and they're going to make plenty of opportunities, and they're going to create loads of chances, so are Arsenal. But the last game last season, when these two teams faced, it was 0-0. And I feel like it's going to happen again. This looks like a 0-0. Arsenal could have easily had a 0-0 in the last game. They really are finding it hard to score. I can't split the sides. It's going to be 0-0. Trust me, I've got this sense feeling that the vibes is stretching towards a 0-0 in this game. Arsenal just cannot score, and they have a good defence as well. Now over onto another London derby at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea versus West Ham United. Chelsea, you lost it 3-1, and defensively, a bit meh. Sanchez, another mistake. He does make a lot of mistakes, but I do have to admit, throughout the season, he does still make good saves. You have to remember that. But he does make these silly errors, which can easily be mitigated. But I still feel like he's a good goalkeeper, but also not at the same time. It's weird. And Chelsea, defensively, should have done better. They were trying to press Man City really hard, really go for it. The defence tried to really go for it, so they left quite a lot of holes at the back. So Man City could play the overtop ball over the defence quite easy and play through the defence. Conceded 3 goals. Yeah, not amazing from Chelsea. In fact, the last 5 games in the Premier League, they have just 5 points. So really not amazing. And now they face West Ham. And I have to admit to West Ham, they deserved the point as much as Aston Villa deserved the point. And now they face Chelsea. I can't see Chelsea losing this. No way can I see Chelsea losing against West Ham. But I do see West Ham putting up a good fight. Honestly do. They put up a good fight against Aston Villa. You can put up a good fight against Chelsea. And considering Chelsea have had some defending issues, some goalkeeping issues throughout the year, and because of that, I think West Ham will score 2 goals. Also, I believe Jared Bowen could return for this game. And I think Mavropanos will, and I think Somerville will. Those are some huge players coming in. So I think they will score 2 goals. But Chelsea still have quality, and this is going to be an easier game than Man City. And I feel like Chelsea will score 4 goals. Sorry, West Ham. You're losing this 4-2. I see this being a really high-scoring game. Trust me, it's going to have a lot of goals no matter what the scoreline. Because Chelsea still have so many players in that attacking position. Moving on to my goal of Game Week 23. I'm giving it to Alexander Isak. What a great touch that was. And what a great pass by Jacob Murphy. And what a great player Isak was. And that finish was so smooth. But how did I do in Game Week 23 predictions? There they are. 5 points out of 20 points. Not amazing, you know. I could have rolled the dice and I would have got the same amount of points. Yeah, not amazing. It wasn't terrible. Not my worst week. Right, let's move that out of the way. I'm not impressed. But that still puts me on 124 points out of 458 points. Yeah, not amazing in my opinion. Definitely could be doing better. But one thing that can be better is this next video that I'm going to show you. Hopefully you're having a wonderful day and a wonderful 2025. Toodle pip, enjoy the video.